Okay, hello, welcome to another Zoom group. We're going to start off with a bit of meditation, really just to add further kind of depth to the communication that's going on. So, because, I'm going to assume you're in a room somewhere and you're on a device of some kind or another, whether you're watching the video or not, or whether you're here. That will be one dimension to the communication that's going on, sort of technical communication through Zoom and through, your laptop or your phone or your tablet or whatever it is. So we're going to just meditate a little bit to just bring our attention to the other dimensions to the communication that's going on. So if you can just close your eyes. When I meditate, I just like to close my eyes. I don't like to get into a special meditative position. I like to just close my eyes and almost like catch myself and see see how I am in my body, because it nearly always goes that I'll do that, and before I close my eyes, I'll think, oh yeah, I'm quite comfortable, yeah, and it's fine. Then I'll close my eyes and I'll realize how uncomfortable I am, or I'll realize areas that I'm holding and tensions and tightnesses that I didn't even realize I had. So, I mean, it's up to you. I'm just telling you what I do. But if you close your eyes and a couple of nice deep breaths. Through the nose is good. The deep breaths sort of help your body and your whole system kind of go, all right, I'm doing something slightly different now. I'm doing this meditation thing. And you could just scan your body, just gently from your head to your feet, just anywhere you find tension. Just breathe it away. Out breath is great for breathing it away. Transverse sites are good places to check. So anywhere that goes across your body, like your eyes, your mouth, your tongue, base of your neck, shoulder girdle, heart area, respiratory diaphragm, intestines, pelvic floor, hips, knees, ankles, feet. Anywhere you find tension, just breathe it away. And if it's not releasing or relaxing, sometimes it helps if you can. I can't do this in every transverse area, but tighten it up. So if it was in your shoulders, you just couldn't get them to relax, if you sort of bunch them up a bit and then drop them and then breathe, sometimes that can kind of get through it. Let your body tell you what it needs to do to get more comfortable. You may find it wants to uncross your legs if they're crossed. It may tell you that it wants to uncross your arms or unclasp your hands if you have them clasped. It may tell you that it wants to, you may want you to sit more erect. Take a nice long deep breath out. Exhale completely through your nose. And don't consciously inhale, just leave it out. Let your body just breathe in when it needs to, rather than just automatically breathing in. It's a nice thing to do to bring your attention to the difference between breathing in through your mouth and into your lungs, which kind of goes from the top of your body down into your body. That's kind of air breathing. And then there's a kind of an energetic breathing that goes on as well, but that travels up your body. So if you think of your body like that there's a cylinder in the center of your body, and that the energetic breathing comes in through the bottom of that cylinder up into your body. And one of the ways to sort of get a sense of it is if you just breathe out completely through your nose, and then don't breathe in consciously, and see if you can get a sense of that energy rising and how that actually triggers the in-breath. And these two, energetic and air breathing, they go together. Air breathing has a kind of conscious quality to it where I'm going to take a breath in now, I'm going to take a breath out. The energetic breathing, kind of, you have to wait for it. It comes in like the tide, and it feels more like you're being breathed into by something. Let's call it life, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But it has a external kind of quality to it, or like you're not in charge of it. You have to wait on it. And all the time you've had your eyes closed, you will be focused more on your inner space. And because we're so used to outer space, you can, in terms of distance and time and position, you can have a feeling that you're dropping or going back into yourself more. And you can use that analogy. You can think of your body a little bit like a jelly mold, and you're sort of pulling back from it. You've closed the two slits that you look through, your eyes, you've closed them. You're pulling back from the mold of your body. You're more your own shape. So in inner space, this time doesn't work the same. Space doesn't work the same. Your body doesn't have the same shape. It doesn't have to have the same shape. You're not limited. So while you're descending more into that or coming back more into that, let's bring your attention to the sensation in your hands. See if you can notice the difference between the sensation in the front of your hands, the palms, fingertips, that front of your hand, and the back of your hand. So for me, for example, when I do that and I let go of the shape of what I think my hands are, and I just feel more the sensation or become more aware of the sensation in my hands, the front of my hands feels much bigger than the back of my hands. There's a lot more sensation in the front of my hands than the back of my hands. So just get a good reference for what the sensation of your hands feel like. And now we're going to bring in another dimension to the communication that's going on. So if you want to stretch your hands out on either side, as if you're reaching out to touch somebody, one person on either side, and see if you can get a sense of connection with, well, let's start off with me. And what that may feel like is a sense of your own hands, that reference you took for your hands, and then just something else, something that wasn't there before. And this applies if you're watching the video. You can do this too, because as I say, time doesn't operate the same way in inner space. So I'm still available. If you're watching this video, I'm still available. You can still get in touch with me, still get a sense of me. And it will have that quality of, yes, that's the sensation that my hands, and then there's, yes, something different. That something different will be me. Familiar, but different. And because time operates differently here, you can get a sense of everybody who's watched the video before you and everybody who's going to watch the video. And if your mind freaks out about that, you can have a good old think about it later. Okay, but just for now, just kind of get a sense of what you're feeling in your hands. It'll be, yeah, there's my hands, and then yeah, there's something else, some other thing. Because the great thing is that time operates differently. Space operates differently. I'm able to connect with all the people in the group, and the people in the group are able to connect with me. I'm able to connect with the people who have watched the video before and who are going to watch the video. It's all possible. Because the thing is, when you include this kind of communication, you can feel that you're never alone. There's always something you can connect with. There's always other people you can connect with. When people have profound realizations and they say, oh, like they go on an ayahuasca trip, or they go on, they fast for 40 days or something, they have a profound realization and of connection. And they go, oh, wow, it was amazing. I looked in someone's eyes and there's no difference between me and that person. Or I saw a horse and the horse was the same as me and I was the same as the horse, or the tree was the same as me and I was the same as the tree. We're all connected, which is a beautiful realization. The thing is, where that person registers that is inside. It's where you are now. That's where they register the connection. That's where that connection is felt. And when you include that communication, then it just broadens and deepens it in a beautiful way. Okay, so there's two ways of opening your eyes, okay? You can, if you're very attached to the feeling of travel, that I've traveled very deeply into myself, then you'll want to kind of come back before you open your eyes, or you'll be a bit disoriented. But where you're heading towards is being able to hold the inner space and the outer space at the same time, so that you're able to open your eyes and go, yep, still very deeply connected to myself inside, and being able to include outer space as well. And if that's where you're at, then, but if you're just beginning to get into it, then you can kind of open your eyes and go, yeah, right, because as soon as you open your eyes and vision comes in, makes a huge difference. It's very distracting. So you can feel, oh no, I've lost it. I can't feel it again. So you can just close your eyes again and go, oh yeah, there it is. It's still there. Then open your eyes and close your eyes, open your eyes, back and forth till you just kind of, and that's something you can do during meditation as well as you come out of it. Okay, so somebody sent in this question. When we meditate and connect with others beyond our hands, like we do at the beginning of the meetings, okay, so what we just did, we start with you and slowly add others, and then feel we're all connected. So that is going into the beginning of the mystery, question mark. Yes, that's going into the beginning of the mystery. Yeah. Deeper in the mystery, we don't feel we exist anymore. We're dissolved in the whole. That's a question mark as well. Yeah, I mean, like there's two ways I go into the mystery: consciously and unconsciously. Consciously is when I meditate. Unconsciously is when I go into deep dreamless sleep. So in deep dreamless sleep, yeah, I'm dissolved into the whole, but I kind of cease to exist. Like this bit that's talking now, no, it doesn't go. It. I don't know whether it waits at the door for me to come back. Like kind of, or it goes in. Sometimes it feels like, in the restaurants where they have the two doors, you don't see them that often anymore, but they used to be. And certainly you see them in movies. So there's one door the waiters go into the kitchen, and then there's another door that they come out, and they never mix the two of them up, or there'll be a big crash. Sometimes I wonder if my consciousness goes into deep dreamless sleep and can remember everything, and stuff happens there, and I continue, and then when I come back out the other door, I just forget what happened when I went in there. I mean, I know this part of me would love to think that that is what happens, because this part of me is afraid of death. It's afraid of not continuing on. So it likes the idea of, oh yeah, I'm sure maybe I'd continue on. I just don't remember. But dissolving into the whole, maybe that happens in sleep. I know when I come back from it, I feel good. I feel refreshed, and I'm not afraid to go to sleep. So maybe. And then when I meditate, um, it does feel a little bit like my mind is at the door. It doesn't go in there, because one of the ways I know that I'm not, so I'm going along and I'm meditating, and I'm going, okay, I'm meditating now. I'm turning off the pictures and I'm turning off the sound. I'm stopping thinking, right? And there'll be a presence of me there. And then how I know I've come back from the mystery is, my mind will say something. Usually it'll say something like, God, I'm really deep. I'm really deep right now. or I'm meditating now. I'm really meditating now, or something like that. As soon as I hear that little voice, like, oh, I'm back. My voice, or my mind, I'm back. My mind. And in some ways, I don't really register being in the mystery, and another way I do. It's a kind of a paradoxical thing. But when I don't know if yeah, is a sense of dissolving with the whole. So yeah, okay, let's just say that. Okay, and then they go on. And between that is the psychic dimension. Yeah, like the psychic stuff is just before the mystery, I think. It's like if the mystery is, here, mystery is here, psychic stuff would be here, and then dreams are there, and then thinking is up here. Something like that. Thereabouts. If I understand it well, the deceased should be in the mystery, and the only parts that remain here are their unconscious parts, not facing the right way, and are in the psychic dimension. Yeah, that's a kind of a harsh way of putting it, but yeah, that's my experience. Yeah, that's my experience. I talked about this I think this question is coming from last week. I talked about the in the same way that our bodies decompose and go back into the earth, our consciousness, or what we wear, decomposes and goes back into the psychic layer, but not all of it. Like it just depends. It's just the unconscious bits that haven't been refined in the life go back into the psychic layer. And again, this is just my sense of it. I'm not saying this is true or anything. It's just my sense of it, and it's an informed sense because of working with a lot of people and coming across all sorts of different kind of psychic stuff. That's where this comes from. You're also saying that inviting entities in the psychic dimension can be risky, since the evil ones are part of it as well as the nice ones. Yep, that's again talking about from last week, where I was saying I just kind of pass through that psychic stuff to the mystery. I'm interested in the mystery because to go into the mystery is a kind of a descent, and then to if I get into the psychic stuff, it's very easy to go sideways, you know, because it's miraculous and amazing and fantastic and more real than this. So it's got more power in a way. Nice ones. But what if we don't invite anyone from this psychic dimension, and a friend, in inverted commas, comes to help of their own initiative? Do we welcome them? Could they help someone towards the mystery? You said they usually face the wrong way, but is it always? It seems surprising Jesus or Buddha would be facing the wrong way, as Michael Shea was saying, unless it's someone in disguise. I know you talked about it already, but I'm hard of understanding on this. I hear so many different experiences and I've had a hard time making sense of it. At the same time, I accept that many things are beyond my understanding. It just stimulates my curiosity when people talk about that, and you do it with such ease and seem to be familiar and experienced with that. Okay, so just, yeah, if we if we don't invite anyone and there is a friend comes to help from their own initiative. Okay, so this kind of question really, it's kind of, I mean, it's not exclusively people who work, you know, like body workers or people who work, you know, with other people, but it certainly points to them a lot. So do we welcome them? No, I don't. I don't welcome them at all. Could they help someone towards the mystery? No, I don't think so, because they themselves are not, they're facing the wrong way, you know. It seems surprising that Jesus or Buddha would be facing the wrong way, as Michael said, unless it's someone in disguise, someone else in disguise. Well, that's pretty much it. It's not someone else in disguise, but you know, it's pretty easy to kind of figure it out because, you know, it's such a human thing. Like, it's so human, you know. Most giveaway stuff is like you just see the kind of humanness in it. Okay, so let's say I die, right? And all the stuff that I've processed and whatever, that just goes straight back to the mystery. But whatever is unconscious, whatever's left of me that's unconscious, in the same way as you got little cells of my body break down and go into different things, but it doesn't all happen at the same time. There'll be clumps of this, clumps of that. There'll be clumps of my sort of personality, the bits of my personality that I haven't refined, the unconsciousness in me, that will be sort of floating around in the psychic world, okay? And as soon as I'm in the psychic world, it's like, oh, everything makes sense now. It's so clear and, you know, but not completely clear, or I would have gone into the mystery. But I'm looking into existence going, oh, so I figured it out now. It's so obvious, isn't it? Oh, I think I'll just go back and help everybody now with my newfound wisdom. And, you know, I can't actually, you know, I'm not in a body anymore. So I'm just trying to, you know, I'm just like bumping my nose up against the glass of existence going, oh, I'm really, you know, I'm so wise now. I just want to help everybody. And it's like, well, if you really want to help, just turn around and go into the mystery, you know, just be one less bit of unconsciousness floating around. Because in the construction of a new entity, it's all made out of unconsciousness. You know, it'll be formed into another person. That's why you get past lives and things like that. It's like it's made from bits of unconsciousness, you know. So yeah, I wouldn't accept help. I'd say thanks very much, but you know, come on, let's go into the mystery. Let's go into the mystery together. That's where we can do the most help. And I've, you know, like, because this has happened to me, like treating people. And that's not verbal, you know, it's all inside, but you get a sense of it, you know, like as I was saying last week, I don't see things. Some people are very visual, they see things. I mean, I've seen auras and stuff like that, but nothing dramatic, you know, it's all internal. You get a sense of presences and whatever. And whenever, you know, like I've had, you know, usually the giveaways are like, oh, you know, I am an Aztec prince, medicine, you know, magician, something, and I know what to do here. You know, it's like, okay, well, if anything like that ever happens with me, I nearly always go, yeah, okay, let's go into the mystery. And then it's like, I'm not so sure about that. No, I want to be a bit more wise here. Let me tell you how wise I am. So yeah, let's go into the mystery. Come on. And then they'll either just go away or they'll come into the mystery and disappear back into the mystery, which is beautiful. So yeah, if Jesus or Buddha or any of that, like if that kind of appears in the psychic work, it's probably not them. It's like if those people were as pure and as beautiful as that's what's written about them, they would have just boom gone straight back into the mystery, because it sounds like they were mostly, yeah, they were completely free of unconsciousness. But you could have other bits of other things going, oh, I'm so wise now, I must be Jesus, or I must be Buddha, or I must be, a saint or whatever, So, yeah, well, it comes back to what I was saying. If you open yourself to this stuff, you get the lot, the good and the bad. And I don't even think of it as good and bad. It's all part of the same thing. It's all unconsciousness. Okay. Some of it is very base and destructive and whatever. And, none of it can harm you, but it can drive you insane, literally nutty, and it can make you harm yourself. So it's not to be trifled with, for sure. And it's not where the real power is. The real power is in the mystery. So just kind of keep going. I mean, I used to talk about it in terms of like, it's like going through a bad neighborhood. You just roll the windows up and lock the doors and keep going. But even that is a little bit fear-based, it's nothing, there's nothing to be afraid of with it. It's just more to do with focus. The real power is in the mystery. So if you're in the healing profession and you're working with people and you want to really help them, don't get distracted with the theatrics and the drama and the beauty and the incredible intensity of that psychic stuff. Just keep going down into the mystery. It's boring in comparison. It's very boring in comparison. The mystery is. Because there's nothing for your mind to latch onto in the mystery. Your mind can't even go in there, but that's where the power is. And it's just my experience. By focusing on the mystery and just keep focusing on that, amazing and profound and beautiful things happen. And that when I do the one-to-one work with people all around the world, that's where I work with them. That's where I meet them, is in the mystery. And that's where the results happen. So somebody else says, I've got two questions. First question, I know you paint. Yes, I paint. While painting, do you also make exercises? Sorry. Yeah. While painting, do you also make exercises to be aware and stop thoughts that are not useful at that moment? Keeping the inner and space while painting. Keeping the inner space while painting. I do now. It depends. Like for me, there's two different types of painting. And I've done kind of both. One is I've got a really clear mental image of what I want to paint, and I can see it really clearly. And then it's the process of getting it out of my head onto the canvas. So I kind of think of that as more like expressive. I'm trying to express something that's in my head. And when I'm doing that, I can listen to podcasts, audiobooks, music. It's almost a mechanical, technical procedure. It is useful to try and stay with the emotion of the image that I have in my head. But it's not, I can do other things. I can multitask a little bit with that. Then the other type of painting is to start with a blank canvas, where I've got a blank canvas externally and internally. So I don't have any, real idea of what I'm going to do, what I'm going to paint, what's going to happen. I'm just going to start, and it's going to reveal itself as I get into it. And that is much more of an exploration. Even what I'm doing at the moment is I sort of, as a starting point, I'll take a picture of something. Yeah, I won't consciously take a picture. I'll just be out. I'll see something, and I'll want to take a picture of it, and then I will I'll paint that, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to discover and explore what it is about that thing that I saw that's making me want to paint it. So that's much more of a process of exploration. And when that's happening, yeah, I can't have anything on. It is very like meditation because I want to stay with the feeling. I want to keep looking at the picture and kind of feel what I feel inside. And then there's a lot more kind of energetics in the process. And I'm also, I don't have an idea of what I'm going to, it's not like I'm trying to make a representation of what I've seen. I'm trying to paint what I'm trying to capture what it was that attracted me about that image in the first place. So yeah, that's much more mindful or conscious. I'm not really mindful. I'm trying to not think about my mind, but I'm trying to keep my mind out of it. Okay, this one is, do you do something to not get hooked by your devices every time you set the alarm for meditation or when you work with devices? If you don't get distracted, what do you think we could do? Well, I set my timer for meditation on my watch, so that's separate. I don't really feel I get too distracted by my phone or my tablet. Possibly because I do a lot of work on them, so it's not like I'm, you know, scrolling. I mean, it's happened for sure. It's happened. I think it's possibly because I've spent quite a bit of time focusing on addictions, my addictions, or things that I'm get addicted to or get distracted by, and I'm quite conscious of the momentum of the day because scrolling endlessly is quite, it's got momentum to it. The next thing is going to be better than this thing. That's why I'll keep going, keep scrolling, you know. I don't know why it doesn't work on me, because I know like these social media companies spend a lot of time and money trying to make it compulsive, you know, that you want to keep scrolling. And I know that people do get caught up in it. But like you can feel it, say, if you're watching a movie, it's a good way to do it. It's like, if like movies are structured, you know, Hollywood movies anyway, with 3 acts usually. And usually around 20 minutes before the end, 15 to 20 minutes before the end, there'll be a major turning point, which is where the hero, it looked like everything was going great, and then the wheels fall off in a really bad way, and it looks like there's really there's no way out. Okay, that's called the final turning point, and that is a great time to turn off the movie and watch your mind freak out. It's just a great way of stopping the momentum, or noticing that the momentum, you know. And possibly because I've done that so many times, the phone thing just doesn't get in. It just doesn't. Even like lately, I've noticed with Facebook, I just treat Facebook a little bit like the psychic stuff I was talking about. I really just get in and get out. I don't scroll through much with Facebook, you know. I will do it more on Instagram, because it's just most of the, you know, I mean, I've got the further Emergence Instagram account is pretty small. My art Instagram account is pretty big. So there's a lot of people posting. So there's stuff for me to see, and I might discover some new artists and whatever. But even with that, I don't spend much time on it. I spend a bit of time on it. I spend more time posting. Most of the stuff I do on social media is creation, I suppose, is posting different things. But I have a feeling it comes from, years of doing that thing of, momentum. And it's like when I was talking about the movie and stopping the movie just at the point where you don't know what's going to happen. That's not to be kind of cruel and masochistic to myself. It's more just to observe. And it's not like I don't ever watch the end of the movie. It's to it's when we were kids, we used to play this game. I think it was called Statues, and one person would have their back. All the kids would be lined up, and then one person would go forward, and they'd have their back to the kids, and then the kids would start kind of creeping forward, and then the kid at the front would say stop, and they turn around, and if you were moving, you were out. So you had to be like a freeze frame. And it reminds me of that. It's like what I was saying about, the start of meditation, of just closing my eyes and kind of going, well, what's really going on? Like, oh my God, I'm way more uncomfortable than I thought I was. And I'm slouching and my body is like, I'm not, sitting up erect or whatever. It's a bit like that. It's like, I'm really in the movie, I'm watching the movie, and then I kind of stop it. Like, and then there's like, what did you stop the movie for? You're going to feel that kind of freaking out. That's like, you're sort of helping your mind go, look, before we started this movie, you didn't know any of these characters. You didn't know the jeopardy. You didn't care. And now it's like suddenly it's really important that I have to see the end of this movie. No, it's not. Come on. Let's go and have a cup of tea. Let's walk around and breathe, and it's good. It's good to stop the momentum like that. And you can do it in lots of different things. And if you stop and you've got nothing going on the inside, well, then there wasn't any momentum. So if you are scrolling, and you stop, you consciously stop, and there's no sense of like, oh, hang on, there was something. I thought I saw something very good about to come up the feed. If you don't have any of that, and it's just like, yeah, okay, then there's no momentum to it. So you're not. How did that person describe it as? Getting hooked by their devices. Yeah, if you don't have that, then great, but you probably will. And if you do that, like, what you could do is, if it was a problem for you, you could set a little timer. Okay, I'm now going to look on social media, and set a little timer, 10 minutes, whatever. And as soon as the timer goes off, you just almost drop the phone like it's a hot potato, and then look inside at what's happening. Because you might have come across an interesting article, or a really important article that your life depends on reading, or a video or something like that. And if your little timer goes off and you just stop, and then you can observe what's going on the inside. And if it's uproar, and if it's like, no, I'm not finished that article, I know this timer went off, but and all this negotiation, no, then you definitely have to walk away from it. But yeah, for me, it just kind of fits in. I mean, I don't think I'm personally hooked on them. I use them a lot, but then I use them for what I'm doing. And I also use them, like, I'll use the algorithms as oracles. I think I mentioned that before. So say, not so much Facebook, because that's very creepy and not, it doesn't feel untainted. But say YouTube, the algorithm that sort of presents me with videos that it thinks I'm going to like. I find that funny, and I found lots of good stuff on that. But again, like, I'll generally, I don't spend a huge amount of time on it. And if I felt like, yeah, no, even if I'm watching it's something that I'm interested in, if my time is up with it, I'll just stop. And yeah, there pretty much isn't an uproar about it. So yeah, I hope that helps. It's about momentum really, and if you can stop things, whether that's shopping, online shopping, just set a timer and stop, see what happens. If you have uproar, well, you're probably getting hooked into it, and you just need to do that a few times to. You might need to do it 100 times. Until there's no uproar, you're still hooked into it. All right, I think I've got time for one more. Okay, so this person says, when I first met my partner, I didn't know anything about consciousness or spiritual growth. During our time together, he has opened my mind and heart to so many things, and I'm so grateful to him. Lately, a friction has come into our love that I'm having trouble rising above. As I've grown in consciousness, I've discovered things in myself that are different from what my partner believes. We try and talk about it, but I end up feeling unheard and like he is trying to tell me something, in inverted commas, tell me something. My question is, what do you do when your truths diverge? Okay. Well, there's quite a bit in that. It's common, actually. It's a common kind of thing. I think it starts with, for me anyway, the fact that I don't take communication for granted at all. And I don't think I'm having the same experience as anyone else. No, I don't think I'm having a different experience. I just don't know. And I don't assume anything, which makes you sound like a crazy person when I get right into it. But for me, it's the beginning of like dropping a lot of assumptions about communication means that any communication that happens, I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing. Rather than kind of going, why does no one understand me? Why doesn't my partner understand me? Why can't, the fact that they understand anything I say, I think is amazing. Because, as I say, it feels like, the fact that I only experience my life through my eyes and my body, I think that's pretty significant. And I don't assume that it's the same for other people just because they look like me and because they tell me that, oh yeah, that's the same for me. That's not where we connect. We connect behind the scenes, but in this thing, no, we don't connect in that way. So it often feels to me that rather than here's the earth and we're all these people on the earth, that's not my experience. My experience, like I'm in a room right now. So my experience is pretty much just what's in front of me. I mean, you can see the green thing behind me and I can see it if I look in the camera, but it all kind of happens in front of me, right? And, if I pass my hand behind something, and I can't see it anymore, like it's kind of like putting my hand through the screen. And there's loads of different things. I mean, my book, The Gentle Snap, it's kind of all about that. It's all about like looking at the different assumptions that go to make up this very believable sense of depth and space and all this kind of thing. But for me, it looks more like, I was only looking at pictures of, again, when I was looking at things online, this picture of a spacesuit came up and I was like, oh, that's my experience. And it was, the spacesuit, you get into the spacesuit from the back. It's like the back, it's like a backpack that opens up and then you get in through that. And it's almost like that's what like my body feels like, because I can't see those bits. I can't experience those bits. Can't experience the back of my head, the top of my head. I've never seen my own face. I can see the back of my legs, but that's about it. So my reality, when I take away all the assumptions, is pretty much like a little bubble, like with this, that I can just about reach with my hands. And it sort of feels like, rather than, as I say, the world with all the people on it, it feels like all these little bubbles of uh, reality bubbles, and that everyone's reality is different. And you get a sense of this if you talk to somebody who's got a very different take on the world than you. So, like, and I've seen this a lot with treating people as well. Somebody be like, "Oh, people are not trustworthy. They're out to get you. You've got to, defend yourself, or people will take advantage of you, and people are not nice." And and I listen to people like that, or say somebody like that, and you can, they tell you a little bit about their life, and they're continually being ripped off. They're continually having people try and take their stuff, and it all makes sense. Their expectation and their reality makes sense because it keeps happening, to them. And it's like in their little bubble of reality, it's true. So there's no point in me sort of going, no, that's not true. People are lovely and trust everybody. And I don't get into that, because I'm kind of going, well, that's their thing. It's a sad sort of reality. I'm glad it's not mine. But no. Or, to a lesser degree, somebody who has a thing about people being late, it's like one of their rules. People should not be late for me. It's disrespectful. I think that's from transactional analysis, the thing of rules. I know anybody who I know they have a thing about lateness. I find it quite hard to be on time for them. And I'm normally quite punctual. I'm normally quite a punctual person. But if I know the person's got a thing about people being late, it's very hard to be on time for them, I find. And it's because that's their reality, So, going back to the question, the fact that you had this beautiful feeling of communication and that you're on the same wavelength, that's, in my experience, that's the exception, rather than the norm. And it's almost like your two reality bubbles were quite close together, and similar. And you're able to get quite a lot across the membrane separating the two of you, in communication. And now they're not so close together. But that doesn't necessarily mean, things are bad, or you should break up, or anything like that. It just means that you're both more conscious of the fact that you're not in the same space, because you never were in the same space. It just felt like you were, because there was, back and forth communication, because one of the things, I've said this before, like most of what goes on in existence, it's not that important for me, because it disappears every night, um, and again, talking about the gentle snap stuff, it's quite easy to pull it apart. I'm not going to get into it now, but it's quite easy to kind of see through the illusion of existence. And the fact that it just all disappears every night is a big giveaway. But there's only two things I've come across that are real and are coming from the mystery, or coming from beyond existence, and that's communication and love. And they're both kind of the same thing. So it's one of the reasons, I think, why we come into existence, why I came into existence, is to communicate. So it's not to be taken lightly, or to be, to be expected that what leaves you is going to arrive the way you intended. I mean, get into a fight with somebody that you care about, and you'll see that. You'll say, X, Y, and Z, and they'll go, how dare you say ABC to me? And you go, but I didn't say ABC, I said X, Y, Z. Like, no, you didn't, you said ABC. Yeah. And you're like, how could they think I said ABC? You're really hurt. But that's because you've got an expectation that when it leaves you, it's going to arrive exactly the same way. But you just go through the membrane between the two of you, and it can get filtered and changed, you know. That's why that Imago method of communication for couples, IMAGO, is so good, because it's really basic. And it's like a way of couples who are having trouble communicating with each other. It's a way of talking. And mostly it's about, I'm going to, you know, it's my turn to talk, right? I'm going to say ABC. And then the person I'm talking to says, so if I understand what you said right, you've just said X, Y, and Z. And you go, no, I said ABC. And I go, oh, okay, so I've understood what you said. And then they keep going back and forth until it's the same. And it's respectful and it's quiet, and, you know, and the person who's listening to you will go, now, is there anything else you have to say about ABC? And you keep saying until it's all done, and they'll keep reflecting it back to you. And it's a way of just getting around that assumption, because it's like, I'm not going to assume that the person, just because I said it in plain language, that they're going to get it in plain language. So, yeah, I mean, it's understandable, particularly from the way your question has been phrased, and that you're both conscious and you're going into consciousness. I mean, you can't just, this is like, you can't mess with this stuff and not have it changing. You can't go into consciousness. You can't go into your spiritual life consciously and remain the same, you know? I said that, I remember saying that in Maya Noise, when I was talking about, you know, telling Barry Long, or going to see Barry Long afterwards. And, you know, my marriage, I got enlightened, my marriage broke up, and, you know, big cataclysmic things had happened in my life. And I remember, you know, Barry asking me, oh, how's it going? And I was like, well, you know, all things considered, okay. And he was saying, look, you can't have a realization like that and not have things change. And he's right, you know. So it's lovely to go into love together and to go into consciousness together, but it will change you. And it sounds like you're at the point now where, I mean, initially it sounds, just from what you said, that your partner was kind of like, I know about this stuff, and I'm going to tell you all about it. And you were transformed by that, and that's beautiful. But it's kind of what I've been saying about the time of the guru is over and the time of the spiritual teacher is over. We're all helping each other home now, or we're all the guru and we're all the spiritual teacher. So there'll come a point where you're sort of, you're under your own steam in your journey into yourself. And, you know, of course you're going to see things differently to your partner because you're a different person. You're having a different experience. And that's one of the great things. Like, differences in relationship are not, you know, a sign of problems. They're a sign of like opportunities to grow. And it's great. I mean, it's one of the reasons to be together is a different perspective, you know. Like I was talking about painting earlier on. It's a good example. You can be sort of painting and think, oh, I think I've got it sorted. It's great to have somebody else come in and go, well, her nose is too big. Or why is her leg too long? Or you're like, what? Because you're just so close to it. You haven't been able to see it. And it's the same in the spiritual life and consciousness. The fact that you're both descending into love and consciousness more and more and more, it's, you gotta highlight other things. So if your partner is trying to tell you something, if anyone is trying to tell you something, but if your partner is trying to tell you something, you mean you can listen and you can be open to hear what they're saying. But if it doesn't resonate with you and you don't get it, like, you don't get it. And if they start to get upset, well, that's more to do with them. there's something going on for them where they're sort of invested in, it's like all this stuff I'm saying, I keep saying it. Like, I don't know if this is true. It's true for me, but, maybe it's not true for you. I'm not, and if somebody's like, oh, that's bullshit. What are you talking about? It's like, fine. It doesn't change. Like, I don't need anyone to believe what I'm saying, I'm more just sharing. Now, this is my perspective. These are the things that I've come across, but I don't need anyone to believe it. And it's not even like, well, you better believe what I say, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. It's like, well, maybe you won't. I don't want anyone to be in trouble, and I don't. If somebody figures out a quicker way to do things, great. So if your partner is, you feel like you're being told, I mean, you can say that to them. I feel like you're telling me something. You can share it with me. You can say, this is your experience. But if that tips into, you must believe this, no, those days are gone. Or, spiritual kind of superiority of like, oh, you're not conscious enough yet. No, that's bullshit. So your question is, what do we do? What do you do when your truths diverge? They were always diverged. They just were kind of close together for a while, but you didn't merge. You didn't share the same experience. You're still having your own separate little bubbles. You're just close together, but you're going deeper into something, a big thing, like a big, powerful, that's got the power of the universe behind it. So of course it's going to change you. And the great thing is, you can share that. It's like, well, this is what it looks like from over here. Like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Well, this is what it looks like from over here, rather than, oh, look, what it looks, I've got the truth over here. I don't know what you're doing over there. If you get into that, no. And I've had this experience. It's very possible to love somebody and be with somebody, and for them to be in a very different space to you. And if you are respectful and not trying to convince each other that the other is wrong, you can be there, and you can continue the dance, and you can stay together, and you can report back from your very different positions, and it's all beautiful. But if your partner is trying to tell you and you're feeling unheard, no, that's good. Just from what you've said, I'm only getting your side of the story, of course, but it sounds like you need to have a bit of a conversation with your partner and update him to the new reality that you've changed, you've grown, that you're not his student. I don't know what it is about men, but we seem to like to be the master. I don't mean the master in women, but the spiritual master, the teacher. I've got something to tell you. But I'm sure, if you just explain that to him, that is not the case, that you're very grateful to him, but that doesn't mean, you have to give him loyalty. Like loyal to his word, that whatever he says is true. Of course not. Sure, everyone's got their 10% or more unconscious that they're working through, So, and, most, spiritual teachers, good ones, yeah, they've only got about 10%, but that can really mess you up, as I've talked about before. But, your average kind of person who's not a spiritual teacher is probably around 50% or more, So we're all working through our stuff and working and refining our unconsciousness. So it's fine to, and if someone says they're not, well, that's their unconsciousness talking, probably, So yeah, I think a bit of gentle updating with your partner, and it's fine. Things change, and feelings change, and your relationship can grow and deepen and change. And once you don't have any assumptions about it, you've got the best chance of getting the most out of it. Okay, well, it only occurred to me this evening that next Friday is Christmas Day, and the Friday after that is New Year's Day. So we're going to have a break until, what date is it? The 7th or the 8th? Whatever the Friday is. The 8th. Okay. So that'll be the next Zoom group, Friday the 8th. Okay, so very happy holiday season to you all, and I will see you in the new year, 2021. It's going to be great.